think I have my Goodreads up.
I know, I have my little tracker here, even though I have not updated it. Okay. Come closer to me.
What are you thinking?
I'm typing myself up.
I mean, I can go first if you want. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Go for it.
All right. Welcome to Kylie video about February books. She had to bring in a sub for the month of February because...
Not a sub, a special guest. I did read.
I feel like I've really been... I've really been ramping up.
Sorry, my forehead looks shiny.
Yeah. You want to scoot back a little?
No. There's no wheels on this thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Kylie invited me onto this month's recap. I've really been ramping up my reading, so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is all of the books that we both read combined in the month of February.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start it off.
You have to say how many books you read.
Okay. I read 4 books in the month of February.
You should do the math on how many pages you read while I talk.
Okay.
I also read 4 books this month. I had a really, really big reading slump when we got back from Disney. I guess I could say 5 if I include like my DNF. Mm-hmm. But I will read it. I will come back to it. But that book really put me in a slump. So I've only read 4. And Nathan's been like reading. So are we going to Barnes & Noble today to get your next book?
I can grab it tomorrow.
Okay. But then I would miss a trip to Barnes & Noble.
If you want to go, we can go.
My reading slump was like to the point that we went to Barnes & Noble to buy me more books because I just needed a really quick, cute, corny romance. Although it wasn't corny, it did make me cry. How many pages? Oh, that was 1 book.
So my 4 books were kind of beefy, and I read a total of 3,356 words.
Words?
Sorry. I read a total of 3,356 pages.
I was about to say, that's barely 3 pages.
A paragraph.
Pages. Yeah.
The books that... Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, we'll go...
Staggered?
Yeah, so do your first one that you at least finished in February.
I don't have the physical copy, but most of the reading was done in February. I started at the end of January. Was the second book in the King Killer Chronicle, The Wise Man's Fear. It's the second book after The Name of the Wind, and I read The Name of the Wind in January, and I thought it was pretty good. I don't want to talk too much about that because that's the purpose of the book, but look straight. There we go.
Thanks.
The Wise Man's Fear, I thought, was a good continuation of the story. I gave it 4 stars. There was just periods of the book that just felt well lived in, but for the sake of the story, it just felt like it was dragging on a lot. When it was plotting, it was plotting. When it wasn't. That's what I'll say for that. But
you had some reading slumps in that book where you were like, nothing has happened in 300 pages.
Let's get it going. We're on the same part of the story. We've been here for so much of the plot, but I do like the overall story, and that's what's keeping me in it. We'll see. It's the 3rd book hasn't been released yet, and
I can't believe that.
it's going to be.
When did the 2nd book come out? We only read, well, I haven't read this series yet, but the only reason we got it was because we're big Carlin Brother fans.
The first book came out in 2007. The second book came out in 2011. So it's been 13 years since we've had another book.
I don't believe another one's going to come out, honestly.
But we'll see. There's some interesting Reddit theories.
But that's why it's such a good series for the Carlin brothers, because it's unfinished.
And it takes a lot of theories so they can get a lot of content.
Exactly. Okay, Is that all you had to say on that one?
Yeah, the book I read was The Wise Man's Fear. I gave it 4 stars. What else do you want me to say about it?
I was going to have you say the author.
Oh, Patrick Rutherfus. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Rothfuss?
Rothfuss?
You added like 3 more letters.
Rothfuss?
Rothfuss. I'll put the
name.
cover up when you talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, the first book I read was House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 3rd book in the Crescent City series. And I think the final book in the series, or at least like how Wing and Ruin was like the final book in the Feyre trilogy, but there's more in like that universe, I guess. Anyway, I'm not going to talk like at all about this because I have like a really long video about all of my thoughts, but it ended up being 4 stars. It was 951 pages. And I can't talk about it very much or I will cry because Sarah J. Maas has ruined my life. Okay, back to you, Dave.
After the really big book, the 900-plus page book, I was like, you know what? Let's get a little bitty tiny book. So Percy Jackson, Chalice of the Gods. It's the continuation of the OG Percy Jackson series. Let me see what I gave it. I gave it 4 stars. It's a Percy Jackson book. I loved them growing up. It holds like a ton of nostalgia for me. I think I read that book in like 2 days.
He kept saying, "You're gonna love this. You should read this right now. You're gonna love this."
It's just cute. Like if you're a big fan of the original characters, it really plays off of nostalgia. Just the contrast between some of the books I have been reading, like these really big fantasy books.
Sorry.
You need to blow your nose.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
There's just been a really big like contrast between these really big fantasy books and then to go to like a Percy Jackson book. It's a very YA.
It's less than 300 pages.
Yeah. Bless you.
It's not even YA.
Really?
I think it's a children's book.
Oh, okay.
So
it just really shows that like some of the books I've been reading, they have much more mature content. And then to go back to this, like there's an obvious like change of tone and like stakes, but at the same time, like I thought it was good and I love the writing and I love how the characters are.
Unfortunately, we do have to buy the entire series in hardcover now. We were going to wait, but then my little sister got it. The really cute spines, though.
Yeah.
She got it and then gave it to us before she left to go back to college. My concern about reading this is that I get to a point with characters like I have with like Feyre and Rhysand and all of them where I'm like, can we just leave them alone? Like, just let them live their lives, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway. The next book I read was Where We Started by Ashley Munoz. It's the first of the Stone Riders MC series. I don't think I'll read any more. I don't know. I gave it 3 stars. And now I feel like I should have given it 2 stars, like the more I think about it. It's about this girl whose dad was in charge of a biker's gang, and when she was like a teenager, she like hated that, and she like had a childhood love, but then he joined the biker gang and they broke up because of it, and then her dad died. She goes back and he's the leader of the biker gang now, and they like reconnect. And the more I thought about it, I was like, some of the plot points just don't combine and make sense. I don't know. It was I downloaded it as soon as I finished Crescent City because we were still in Disneyland, and it's nice to have like a book to read in line. So I read it really quickly and I liked it, but at the same time I was kind of like, you guys shouldn't be together. Like, this is... You should have not even come back for the funeral. These people are crazy.
Yeah. You had some fun thoughts during that. I remember you were like telling me, you're like, these people are kind of crazy.
Well, he wrote her a letter. You find out like at the very beginning, and he said some awful things. If a man wrote me a letter after our breakup and said, I never loved you, I only pitied you, after we've been like dating since we were like 10,
yeah,
the way I would murder him.
That's bad. All right. I have been very excited to dive into this new series, and I have a lot of thoughts about it, but the next book I read was Brandon Sanderson, The Way of the Kings.
Show them how thick it is.
1,000 pages, 1,000 words. I absolutely love Brandon Sanderson as like a human. We read last year the Mistborn series. Got us into Brandon Sanderson reading. I've heard a lot about this, The Way of Kings. Why I keep on saying The Way of the Kings?
Because it makes more grammatical sense.
The Stormlight Archive is kind of the grander scheme of what it's called.
Isn't it like the highest rated book on Goodreads, period?
It's one of them, yeah, and for good reason. I really got into it really quickly and love the characters. There's a lot of depth to a lot of characters. It's crazy how, like, there's political plot, there's a war plot, there's a magical plot, there's just a lot of elements to the story that all come crashing down at different parts and then built back up, and there's just different levels to the even just the first book, and it sets things up for the second and third and fourth, and there's a fifth one coming out this year. I read on Reddit, someone had like questions, and they were like, if you have questions, it means he's doing his job correctly. So
showing how pretty this book is.
It's gorgeous.
And it's got art throughout it.
Really, really cool.
I didn't know I was stamping it, and I stamped like way later because I was like, I can't stamp any of the pretty stuff.
Thank you. If I could give it more stars, I would.
I told him that's a thing. It's a 6-star read.
I absolutely love it. So that was probably my favorite book I read this month.
You can say it's a 6-star read, and then in your review in Goodreads, if you write 6-star read, people will know that it's like...
The lingo.
Yeah. Like in my last video, and I said, like, this book is in my DNA. That's a 6-star read. Okay, next book I read was... You're
going to say Mistborn?
Yeah. Mr. Fixer-Upper by Lucy Score, which I've been wanting to read for a long time. See, this is what happens. I'm filming and it sounds like I start crying about the book because I get congested.
That's part of the cover.
That's not the real cover. I'm going to put the cute cover up. Not that. Well, let me show you the real cover because that's the cover.
That's cute.
Because that's one I almost bought. And then I was like, it's free, but I'll probably buy it because it's so cute and I liked it so much. But it's a romance between a like assistant director producer of like a HGTV renovation show and the guy star. It's a brother and a sister who do it, and he's like the construction guy, and it's so cute. He calls her princess because one time she like ruined her like outfit and she had to wear like somebody's daughter's gym clothes, and it's like princess
That's
across
cute.
it. Let's see. They work. Squirrel. His name is Ganon.
I do remember making the Ganondorf joke. You were
Yeah.
like, whose name is Ganon? And I was like in Zelda?
So the author's note, I love Lucy Score, it says, a protective, grumpy hero, a not easily impressed heroine, the worst human being on TV ever, a grand gesture so big you'll need a box of tissues, and that shower scene. Babe, that shower scene.
Was it steamy?
Actually, if it's the shower scene I'm thinking of, it made me cry.
Oh, so there were multiple shower scenes.
Probably. But I gave it 4 stars. I love Lucy Score books. And there's gonna be another like one in this with like the sister. I just love Lucy Score. This is 402 pages. And you know my rule is that if a romance is 300 or less, it can't be more than 3 stars. So you like actually get into like the bits and pieces. And I'm such a sucker for the trope of like something unreasonably traumatic happens. Like a severe physical accident and the guy like freaks out. It's really, really, really good, and it's really cute, and
Good.
I love it.
Nice.
Okay. Your last book?
The next book I read was this follow-up, Words of Radiance. Love.
How many
Kylie
pages?
loves the floppiness. This one is like,
Hey, Patrick Rothfuss reviewed this.
oh, nice.
I loved this book. What else is there to say? Well, nobody pay him for reviews anymore.
1096. Again, like a 6-star read.
Is that Raisin?
Do you want me to tell you who that is?
Sure, your name. That's a pretty... I want to frame this.
Her name's Shalon or Shalon. It's like, I don't know the different pronunciations. Shalon is like how the audiobook says it. Shalon is kind of how I pronounce it with my like Utah accent.
Look how pretty. There's like one character in this book that at one point Nathan was like asking me how I would pronounce it.
Just a random character.
What was the spelling? It's like RYSN or something.
Something like that.
And I did the Winston, the as I live and breathe. Raisin?
As I live and breathe.
And so that's my favorite character. And Nathan's like, she literally appeared once for House.
Yes. So, again, more depth, more backstory, more building, more knowledge, more things that you learn about the world. Unbelievable fight scenes, unbelievable character growth, bottom of the whale's belly moments where I was just like, holy crap, like, this is crazy. Just kept me reading, like, nonstop. So,
Yes.
like, I literally read both of these books in a week. Well, a week each. That'd be kind of crazy to read it.
Well,
2 of those in 1 week.
I don't know. He's like reading when he's home. He's listening to the audiobook at work when he's like doing his like walk during lunch.
I read during breaks.
Yeah, you were.
I'm reading.
I mean, look at this. This is half the books he read this month.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
So I'm very excited. The next book we'll probably go grab.
Probably after we finish filming.
Yeah.
So my DNF book, or my like shelved for now, but I will finish it, is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Do you want to grab it?
I think it's around on the ground somewhere. I'm on page 137 in my main issue. Doggo. My main issue is that I'm 137 pages in and it just revealed that Evelyn Hardcastle is murdered. And I'm like, I know. That's the point. And it just revealed the main character's name, which was on the back of the cover.
One thing about Kylie is, like, she gives books a fair shot, but within, like, 100-something pages, you should be able to, like, grasp the reader's attention. And I feel like Kylie's the type of person that will do their due diligence, but, like, if the book isn't hitting, it's not hitting.
And it's frustrating because there's, like, big reveals and stuff where I'm like, it's almost harder to not grasp my attention by now.
Yeah.
So I picked up Fangirl by Tessa Bailey and read it in a day. I love Tessa Bailey books. I gave this one 4 stars. It's about Wells Whitaker, who is a golfer who, like, a while ago won, like, 3 titles and was super big, and Josephine Doyle, who was his, like, #1 fan and, like, never let him down, like, was there at every single tournament in Florida, which is her home state. Even when he was, like, hungover all the time and just basically, like, bad. And so one day he quits the tournament while she's there and, like, he yells at her and rips her sign in half. And so he quits and she's like, I want nothing to do with him anymore. And he, like, can't get her out of his mind. And then there's a hurricane and he goes to check on her, and her family's shop that she runs had been, like, destroyed. And she doesn't have flood insurance because she has diabetes and she had to buy insulin instead. Rough time. So he offers for her to be his caddy as he re-enters the tournament, and she would caddies get like 20%, I think.
Oh, I didn't know
which
that.
is still a lot. of like the winnings. It's still like 6 figures or 5 figures or something. And so they travel together and they fall in love, and it's just so good. And the Smut and Tessa Bailey books is. There's some unhinged things in here. I'm not gonna. The shower scene in this one is unhinged. I was reading it like Josephine. So those are all the books that we read in February. Nathan definitely beat me this. Oh, and I'm still reading this one, but nonfiction books take me months.
See who will win in March.
Me.
Well, we'll see how long these next 2 books take me, and then I got to figure out what's the next book series I'm going to read. I'm going to hold up the books for a thumbnail.
We'll take a picture in a second, but yes. You're so cute and so thoughtful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.